Welcome to my final Better Call Saul Season 6 episode review video, as this is the series finale of Better Call Saul. Before I get into that though, pretty important, if you aren't caught up to the point where I am in rewatching or watching every single episode of Better Call Saul, then I highly recommend that you don't watch this detailed review any further to avoid any potential spoilers. This will be my second time in full of watching Better Call Saul. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. Top 20 for sure, probably more closer to top 10. And of course, Breaking Bad. Love that show. That's in my top 5 of all time. If you want to see any of my Breaking Bad related content, you can click right here with about 20 seconds left to go in this video. That will be my Breaking Bad seasons ranked video. And I'll also put my top 10 favorite Breaking Bad episodes right there for your viewing pleasure if you want to familiarize yourself with my Breaking Bad content. And I, of course, reviewed all the episodes of Breaking Bad. I'm not sure what other Better Call Saul videos I'm going to do. I might rank the seasons. I might not. I'm not exactly sure. But with all that said, this will be Better Call Saul, Season 6, Episode 13, the series finale of Better Call Saul. The title of this episode is called Saul Gone. And this will be my review, reaction, recap after just finishing watching the episode. We have a flashback during their trek through the desert in Baghead. Jimmy and Mike come across a thing full of water. While they rest, Jimmy jokingly suggests that they steal Lalo's bail money and flee. This leads to a discussion in which the two men hypothesize what they would do if they used the money to build a time machine. Mike says that he would go back to 1984 and not take his first bribe, then go 5 to 10 years in the future to check on the people he cares about. Jimmy says he would go back to 1965. Invest in Berkshire Hathaway on the day it was taken over by Warren Buffett and come back a billionaire. Mike pokes fun at Jimmy for focusing exclusively on money. The two then resume their journey. In 2010, Jean Takovic flees Jeff's house while Marion remains in contact with her Life Alert operator. She is able to read off his license plate number as he drives away. Returning to his residence, Gene retrieves his shoebox and overhears information about his car being broadcast on the police radio scanner. Spotting a police car outside, he escapes through a near rear window with the shoebox and a burner phone. He narrowly avoids a police helicopter as the police begin to swarm Omaha. Gene climbs into a dumpster and removes Ed's business card from the shoebox, memorizing the password. As he struggles to open the phone's clamshell packaging, however, he appends the contents of the shoebox. Hearing the commotion inside the dumpster, he is discovered by police officers and surrenders at gunpoint. Gene sees some cops watching one of his Saul Goodman commercials on a computer. He makes a phone call to the Cinnabon, telling one of his employees that they will need a new manager. Later, he paces around his cell, muttering, This is how they get you," before punching the door in anger, hurting his hand and collapsing to the floor. While on the floor, he notices a graffiti message etched into the wall. My lawyer will ream your ass," and bursts into laughter. He gets up and demands another phone call. Bill Oakley is shocked to receive a call from the man he knows as Saul Goodman. Saul wants Oakley to act as advisory counsel as he represents himself in his legal proceedings. Oakley doubts he can mount a successful defense against the evidence that the district attorney and the government have against him. When Oakley asks how he manages this scenario ending, Saul confidently replies with "me on top like always." As Saul is being led through a corridor of the Douglas County Detention Center, he spots Marie Schrader in an adjoining room. Saul and Oakley negotiate a plea with a team of prosecutors who are offering a reduced sentence of 30 years in prison. Knowing that Marie is watching the meeting through a mirrored window, Saul asks that she be allowed into the room, which they reluctantly allow. Marie sits across from Saul and eulogizes her late husband, Hank Schrader, and his partner, good old Gomez, Steve Gomez, blaming their murders on Walter White. Saul portrays himself as the victim of Walt, recounting how he and Jesse Pinkman kidnapped him, which is true. His actions as their accomplice, he claims, were born out of fear for his life. No one in the room is fooled, but Saul reminds the lead prosecutor that he only needs one juror to believe his story to avoid conviction. Marie warns the prosecutor against making a deal with Saul. The next scene shows Marie angry and defeated, leaving the DCDC. The plea negotiation drags on late into the night, with the prosecution team being forced to agree to a reduced sentence of 7 years. Saul Goodman successfully pressures the prosecutors to place him in a low-security prison in North Carolina, as opposed to the maximum security ADX Montrose. Feeling smug, he attempts to dangle one last piece of information in a bid to get his sentence reduced even further: the murder of Howard Hamlin. However, he is stunned to learn that Kim Wexler has already disclosed the truth of Howard Hamlin's murder, meaning that he has no more leverage in the negotiations. Bill Oakley is forced to finalize the plea deal while Saul Goodman sits in stunned silence. We go to a flashback. Saul Goodman lies on his cot in the basement of Ed's vacuum cleaner shop as Walter White tries to repair a faulty water heater. Pointing to Walt's former occupation as a scientist, Saul asks what he would do if he had a time machine. Walt is angrily dismissive of the question and recognizes that Saul is actually talking about past regrets. He says that his biggest regret is allowing his former business partners to take over the company he co-founded and profit off his discoveries. Saul replies that his biggest regret is an experience from his youth in which he hurt his leg in a slip-and fall scam. Walt states that you were always like this and returns to fixing the water heater, leaving Saul sitting on his cot. Back to present time, Saul is on a passenger flight to New Mexico, accompanied by Bill Oakley and a U.S. Marshal. Saul asks Oakley what Kim's situation is now that she has disclosed the details of Howard Hamlin's murder to the authorities. Oakley replies that while it remains unlikely she will be prosecuted, Howard's widow is planning to sue her in a civil court. Though a thought occurs to Saul, he tells Oakley and the marshal that he has more information to divulge about the murder once they land in New Mexico. Kim Wexler struggles to return to her daily routine at Palm Coast Sprinkler. Eventually, she leaves work early and drives to a legal aid office, telling the woman in charge that she wants to volunteer. Working late into the night, Kim is filing cabinets when she receives a call on her phone from the ADA, Susan Erickson in Albuquerque. Performing the call as an official courtesy, Erickson informs Kim Wexler that Saul Goodman was captured 2 days previously. What's more, he is offering to give testimony that will affect Kim Wexler. Kim is shocked by the details of Saul Goodman's potential testimony. Saul enters a courtroom in Albuquerque for his sentencing hearing. Bill Oakley, Marie Schrader, Blanca Gomez, and Kim Wexler, the latter sitting in the back row, are also in attendance. While the lead prosecutor is making a statement to the judge defending the plea agreement, Saul Goodman asks to address the court. He initially repeats his speech from the DCDC recounting his kidnapping by Walter White and Jesse Pinkman. However, he throws the hearing into disarray by confessing that, far from being a victim, he was a willing and dispensable participant in Walter White's drug empire. Voice breaking, he credits Kim for starting over legitimately after Howard Hamlin's murder, admitting to the role he played in his brother Chuck's suicide, and addresses himself as James McGill for the first time in years. His conscience cleared, Jimmy sits back at the defendant's table and looks at Kim while Bill Oakley and the prosecution team begin arguing. Bill Oakley's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And the prosecution team's like, yeah, everything he said. Yep, let's go with it. So Jimmy is transported by bus to ADX Montrose. One of the prisoners on the bus sitting in front of Jimmy initially threatens him, but quickly recognizes him as Saul Goodman, despite Jimmy insisting that his name is McGill. The other prisoners recognize him as Better Call Saul. Better Call Saul. And then one by one, eventually the prisoners use the Better Call Saul slogan as the basis of a chant. Jimmy smiles, amused. Later, while he is fixing food in prison, Jimmy is told, prison kitchen, Jimmy is told that a lawyer has come to see him. Taking to his visitation room, he finds that the lawyer is Kim Wexler, as her New Mexico bar card doesn't have an expiration date. She is allowed to visit him as an attorney. Evoking their talks together in the HHM parking garage, the two share a cigarette and lean against the wall. It is revealed that the plea agreement was squashed and that Jimmy has been sentenced to 86 years. As she walks out of the prison, Kim sees Jimmy watching her from the exercise yard. The two look longingly at each other through the barbed wire fences. He gives her a pointed gun gesture, and Kim steals one last glimpse of Jimmy as she turns a corner of the prison, ending this episode and this series of Better Call Saul. So, awesome series. Not as good as Breaking Bad. As far as this episode goes, I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. I'm not exactly sure why, but I just don't think this is a perfect episode, but it is a good ending of the show. Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul had good endings, where Dexter had one okay ending and one bad ending thus far. We have one more to go, maybe more after that. So the character of the episode is going to be Kim Wexler, and I have been not giving Jimmy the character of the episode, but for this one, Jimmy is also the character of the episode. It's his story. He's been the star of the show. Props to Bob Odenkirk for his performance on Better Call Saul. So that's all I have to say. Now it's your turn to talk or comment. If you're a fan of Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, or El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie, and you want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, please make sure that you Hulk smash the like button, share the video with a friend, put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are on this episode of Better Call Saul, the series finale. What would you rate it? Who would you choose as a character of the episode? Jimmy, obviously, Kim, maybe others. Remember to click right here for my Breaking Bad Seasons Rank video, and I'll put my top 10 favorite episodes right there, and maybe more stuff over here and right there. And then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. You're watching the video anyway. Help me get over 100,000 subscribers. Join the team. Show your damn support and be a part of something special. And you never know what you're going to see on JDev TV.